see from...
That is their role. You see, what people must understand, I heard some people say, I think yesterday, oh, the central bank is leaving everything to market forces. No, the central bank is not leaving everything to market forces. No country in the world leaves its currency entirely to market forces. From time to time, they intervene. You don't have to know. They don't have to publicize. It is their strategic function. It's the strategic function of the central bank to regulate the rules in the bank. And this time around, they're also coming as part of the market. This time around, the central bank is not going to be the sole source which everybody keys into. Okay? So everybody should bring in their money and sell at a certain rate. Now they have eradicated even the former idea of keeping this, a strategic sector that are going to be funding at a very low rate at the expense of everybody else. That has also been eradicated. So it's within the role and the ambit of the central bank to regulate that market, to ensure that everything is put in place. There's going to be forward transactions. Forward transactions are simple transactions, agreements between two people, to deal in the future. That means that they're also taking attention away from the present. You see, we also as Nigerians are too fixated with the dollar. Everybody is talking about the dollar. Remember, our currency is the naira, and we're under obligation to make the naira strong. Naira is our currency, not the dollar. All right, so we're going to have forward transactions between two individuals, or between two, let's say the bank and their large customers, between the big banks and the central banks as well, between the banks, every bank, and the central bank as well. We're going to have the futures transaction, which is a little bit more regulated, okay? And then the FMDQ, the Financial Market Dealers Code, in conjunction with the Financial Market Dealers Association, they're going to be coming in on that platform. We're still talking about a vast range. Even the BDCs are going to be a lot more active now. The broader churn, they're going to be a lot more active because they will also reference their rate to what goes on in the interbank. Okay, then the gap between the bureau de change and the interbank will not be as large as what we have now, 199 to 350 or 340 as the case may be. Mind you, the fact that the naira has actually gained about 30 naira in the last 20 days, the last 2 days, in the last 2-3 days against the dollar, and that's remarkable.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Now, let's come back to the studio in Lagos. Now, he mentioned the black market, and we sometimes hear that the black market is illegal. But every time policies come out regarding foreign exchange, there's reference to the black market. So the black market is an integral part of the foreign exchange market in this country. Where do they fit in this policy?
Usually the black market is a market that the policy makers are not going to come out to say.
They recognize.
We recognize.
But they do.
But it's obvious. It's everywhere. Economists understand the underlays. It's simple. Usually there is always going to be a room for people who we call arbitragers, who want to take advantage of lapses and gaps in rules, regulations that you have created. Now what you do as a regulator is to ensure that gap isn't as wide, to continue to incentivize that space and that speculative behavior. The more you can achieve that, the little the relevance and the little the impact of that market, which is what Mr. Fashola is talking about when he says that if we have a more liberalized market, in the interbank rate becomes the much more reference rate, and it's more reflective of the reality of the market, where everybody can walk in and compare it from banks to bank. You can decide if it pays you or not, and you can always get it for what you want. What it simply means is that you will rather want to do the official thing, rather go instead of looking to go and call a malam. Meanwhile, the question is usually where is the link between the real market and the black market? In Nigeria, the link usually goes to the BDC, who plays some other roles. They have a defined roles.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. What you're saying, in effect, is that the difference between the official rate and the unofficial, the black market rate, will not be so different.
Yes,
hopefully.
It will not be so different.
Only hopefully.
If the market, right now there is only one small clause in the new rules that they've released, which some of us have argued that is a challenge that may continue to incentivize the existence of the black market and is relevant, because we continue to see the 41 items, we call it 40 plus, to speak, items, remain banned from using the official
So those
market.
who want to import those will have to source their money from
black market.
From that market.
So what it meant is that you have actually created a room for somebody to be serving and playing that role until you are able to make it. So the question for us is that the CBN should just take it and say, let that market go. Wherever you find your currency, go buy it. Alternatively, the government should simply just ban the importation of those items straight. It won't be CBN using monetary policy and FX to manage that process, because the only thing you will achieve is to keep the black market as in up, as in you're giving it more, you're pumping more blood to it by saying that 41 item remain banned, especially when really we don't have the local capacity to make them available.
Now, now that brings us to the real issue.
Mr. Ademezwe, please. This policy means that Nigeria has to export to survive and earn foreign exchange.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Now, from what you are seeing, is there enough impetus, enough encouragement for the Nigerian to export? What is the business climate like?
Okay, in two dimensions. The devaluation we're seeing today and the hurt and the pains it brings should be a simple reason.
Please, sir.
For us.
We don't, not a devaluation. We floated our currency.
Well,
The floating of the currency.
Floating of the currency.
Let's stay with that word.
But, you know, we can speak nice words around it.
Please.
The point is that we have devalued.
Yes, but
But,
please, let's just
what's wrong about devaluation? Let's even face it. Many nations have
The
practically
CBN
used...
did not use the word devaluation, so
Well-
let's just use with the words that they use. They floated the currency.
Okay, we floated the currency
Thank you.
so that we can be happy.
Yes.
Okay, fine. As we float it, we hope the Naira finds its value. So let me not use the other word you don't want me to use. It finds its value. Now, let me take it from where he left off before I now talk about what are the realities for us for export. Now, if you start this process now, the issue again is that, like we have had over the years, several operators in the goods market and services market whom have had difficulty accessing money, will they have less difficulty accessing money right now? These are the questions we need to ask. There are so many items we've said, these ones are valid for FX. These are not valid for FX. Not valid for FX does not mean illegal. They are legitimate transactions. Government knows that they go on, but we've said we will not sell FX to you. These other ones are also legal, legitimate, not banned, but we will sell FX to you. All that is just a way to manage the meager supply of FX that we've had in this country over the years. Now, over time, we will see, as this new system comes up, whether more people that had before now been excluded from the official market, in quote, can now easily access these banks to, you know, to get FX. If they are, you will see the gap between the so-called black market and the official market, you know, come very close again. If they cannot, that gap remains large. And as long as that gap remains large, round tripping, you know, remains, you know, very rife.
Because I was going to ask the question, how susceptible would the Naira be in the hands of these operators, just so that they can decide to sell at whatever price they like?
That's where transparency needs to come in. The central bank, you know, they're putting a lot of measures to see. They even warned these operators. In fact, you know, from the amendments we're seeing, almost all the banks are going to be primary dealers.
Yeah,
and if that is done, you know, that will, you know, ensure some level of competition and transparency.
You haven't answered my question.
Now, coming to your question now, how are we going to benefit from this whole situation? Export.
Stimulate export to earn more foreign exchange.
Now, that's where I come in again, that the next thing to do is the real steps that will actually cure this problem in total is to see how we can move away from oil completely. And what's happening now is a lot of impetus for us to see, you know, non-oil export push in. But it takes leadership. It takes political will. It takes proper institutional framework to make this happen. What I advise is that government, for the first time, should begin to do these things we've avoided over the years. Should begin to build our refineries so that we can stop importing, you know, petroleum products. That is number one. You know, and then rice importation can also be curtailed easily because it's a low-hanging fruit for this country. We have several states that we know a lot of, rice paddy are wasting away there. What can we do to bring these things to the market. And that's why I'm saying government should freely, openly invite private investors. Government cannot do this at this point in time. I've said this several times. Government must learn, in the midst of the inefficiency we've seen in the government over the years, must learn to bring in private investors from the southeast, southwest, northeast, northwest, and the rest of the central. We have great investors who can go to our farms and bring these products. In fact, the Nigerian Export Promotion Council just came up with about list of 13 products, not as if we haven't known over the years. These things have been there, from cashew to cocoa to cassava to rice. We have plenty, products that we can bring to the market and do one thing: reduce the amount of feed that we import, and then possibly export most of them. That way, we can diversify our export earnings. And as I say, the ultimate solution, if you like float, if you like devaluation cannot even solve your problem. Even though some of us who are seen as bad Nigerians who are saying devaluation cannot solve our problem. We're only saying devaluation is only a response to supply-demand gap. The real solution is in bringing all our goods to the market so that Nigerians can see these things to consume, and then the extras can be exported. And those who export must enjoy, for now, the harvest of having bigger amount of naira when they bring in that local currency.